Depending on who you ask, the two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is either a pipe dream or the only viable way forward.
As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time.
But before we get to why that's the case, let's take a step back. What actually is the two-state solution? On one level, the idea behind it is simple. A Palestinian state would be created alongside Israel. Israelis and Palestinians would live alongside each other in their own sovereign countries, in two states. The problem is that prior to the current phase of the conflict, the two-state solution was basically considered dead in the water. The last major push for a two-state solution came when Barack Obama was the US president. But by the end of his term, he said that Israeli actions in the occupied West Bank had made it almost impossible. He was referring to the building of illegal Israeli settlements there. How can Palestinians establish their own state if Israel has illegally built towns, villages, and even cities in much of their territory? Israel's far-right and ultra-nationalist government has rapidly increased settlement building there in the past year or so. The rise of those ultra-nationalists in Israeli politics is the second major problem. They staunchly oppose Palestinian statehood, they believe the West Bank should be annexed by Israel altogether, and they would never support the dismantling of Israeli settlements there. But there are also problems and divisions on the Palestinian side. Hamas has recently dismissed the idea of a two-state solution, and it does not see eye to eye with the Palestinian Authority, which controls the occupied West Bank. At the same time, younger Palestinians have lost faith in the authorities' attempts to end the conflict with negotiations. But even if you were to sweep those problems aside, there are four key areas of contention that have served as roadblocks over the decades. The first one relates to borders. Neither side has been able to agree about where to draw the lines between Israel and Palestine. Most people argue that there should be a return to the borders that existed before 1967, when Israel first occupied Gaza and the West Bank. But there is also the notion of land swaps. Israel could keep some of its settlements in exchange for other land that it would give to Palestinians. The second roadblock is Jerusalem. Both sides claim the Holy City as their capital. For Muslims, it's home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, where the Prophet Muhammad is thought to have ascended to heaven. And it is the holiest city in Judaism and given special status in Jewish religious law. Israel currently controls the entire city, but the two-state solution would likely involve dividing it into an Israeli West and a Palestinian East. The third roadblock is the right of return. Over 700,000 Palestinians either fled in terror or were expelled from their homes when Israel was established in 1948. Their descendants, which now number in the millions, want the right to return to their homes in Israeli territory. But that would be a problem for Israel, which wants to maintain a Jewish majority. The final hurdle is about security. The Palestinians want the Israeli military to withdraw entirely from their territory. But in the wake of the October 7th Hamas massacre, it's even harder to imagine that Israel would agree to that. So why is everyone talking about the two-state solution again? For many, it's the best solution there is, and they hope that if and when more moderate leaders come into power in Israel, it will be firmly back on the table.